Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another battle to the death for you. Today we have the Benchmade Mini Bugout versus the Spyderco Chaparral Lightweight. As always, these are brought to you by Southern Edge Knife Works. Get that out of the way right off the bat. Go to southernedgeknifeworks.com. Use the code SDSEK at checkout. You get 50% off and free shipping. Pretty good deal for you guys, and it allows me to do more of these. For example, this Chaparral Lightweight, I did not have one. They found me one and sent it to me so I could do this little battle to the death for you guys. So I very much appreciate that. Go to Southern Edge Knife Works, great guys. SDSEK at checkout. 15% off, free shipping. All right, we're done with that. Why am I comparing these two? Well, they're both, as you can see, about exactly the same size. Both very lightweight knives, both FRN handles, both very thin, slicey blades. When I got the Mini Bugout, it just kind of reminded me a bit in some ways of the Chaparral Lightweight. And I just thought, yeah, this would be a good comparison. Also, they are different versions of previous knives. This is the lightweight version of the original Chaparral, which I'll show you here probably towards the conclusion. And then this is a smaller version of the Bugout. So let's get going. How does this work? Let's talk about that first of all. We have 7 categories. We have design and aesthetics, quality, blade, ergonomics, carry, deployment, and value. Everybody gets a point for each category they win. At the end, we add them all up, and we have a winner. But before we get into all that, let's talk about these knives individually for a moment. We will start out with the Mini Bugout because it is the newest one. As the name would indicate, it is a mini version of the previous Bugout. Very, very popular knife so far. Everybody's really stoked about it, with one major exception, which I think everybody has universally had a problem with, which we'll talk about more when we get to the design and aesthetics portion. Comes in 2 different versions. This is the $136 533 BK-1, meaning that it has the blacked out blade and the white grivery handles. The Stormtrooper is what we're all calling it. There is also another version that is orange with a satin blade and has orange thumb studs and orange backspacer and stuff. That's $119. S30V steel, grivery handles, as I said, the ubiquitous Bugout handle. And just to compare very, very quickly, we don't usually do size comparisons this, but we will show. This is how much smaller it is than a standard Bugout. It is quite a bit smaller. Initially, by the stats, I didn't think it was going to be that much smaller. It is quite a bit smaller. Very, very lightweight, as you will see when we get to the stats. Both of these are extremely lightweight. Put that up here for a moment, and let's bring the Chaparral Lightweight out. This has been out for a few years now. Made in the Taichung Spyderco plant, which, as a lot of you guys know, they make a pretty high-end stuff over there. So a lot of the best Spydercos come out of there. A lot of your, Spidey Chefs, your Slicey buoys, your Chaparras, all the stuff that people chase that really, really love the higher-end Spydercos come out of there. This is by far the least expensive one that comes out of there. You're looking at $95.90 right now for that, getting XHP steel, which is an awesome steel. Pretty nice FRN compared to some of the other USA-made Spyderco FRN. Simple lockback design, nice wire clip. This bi-directional FRN to give you lots of grip. This is a variation on the standard Chaparral, if you can even call a standard Chaparral anymore. There's so many of them. This is the carbon fiber one. So you can see exactly the same dimensionally, exactly the same shape. It just has the FRN scales instead of this peel ply carbon. Same blade and everything. Now, let's do some stats. I guess since we have it out here, we'll start with the Chaparral. You have an overall length of 6.4 ounces, blade length of 2.8 inches. You have a blade thickness of a very, very thin 0.08 inches. You have a handle thickness of also very thin 0.32 inches and a weight of just 2 ounces, almost exactly dead on 2 ounces. Now let's move on to the Benchmade. You have an overall length of 6.49 inches, blade length again 2.8 inches, blade thickness just a hair thicker at 0.09 inches. Handle thickness also just a hair thicker at 0.42 inches, but even lighter at just 1.5 ounces. This is an extremely light little knife for sure. Now let's get them both back out here, and let's get to the meat and potatoes, these scoreable categories. Design and aesthetics. Okay, this is where we have to talk about currently. I just want to say before I do this, caveat, this is being broadcast on the 10th of March, 2020. The Mini Bugout just came out. It only came out in 2 color variants. The Stormtrooper version and the orange that I mentioned before. Very polarizing colors. I don't know too many people that are super stoked about it. I can say this is the last video I have planned for the mini Bugout. I plan to keep it around, but it's getting dyed the minute this video is over. The minute I have time, it's getting dyed another color. I don't like the white. I'm not a fan of coated blades, but I hate orange even more. And if you get the orange, it's not like you can just dye the orange, because the thumb stud and the back spacers are still orange. So you have to dye it something that matches orange. Just a very, very polarizing color choice. If you're watching this in the future times and they come out with this in a more normal version, like the original Bugout, which is blue with a satin blade, that was awesome. Why did they not do that? I don't know. If you're watching this in future times and there's more normal colors, feel free to give this category to the mini Bugout, because I would. As far as shapes go, I do like the shape and overall just kind of aesthetic of the mini Bugout a little bit better. But the color choices are just ridiculous. And I have to go with the Chaparral. The Chaparral is not an ugly knife at all, unless you just really hate the Spyderco aesthetic, which some people do. Some people just really hate that hole. But I have to go Chaparral lightweight for the design and aesthetic, just because it's just normal gray. It's not going to offend anybody. I don't see a problem with that. I got to go. And it's not an ugly knife. And I got to go with the Chaparral lightweight for the design and aesthetics. Quality. This one was a bit tough. So I will say that the mini Bugout doesn't feel quite as like solid as the Spyderco, which is kind of unsurprising, because if there's one complaint people had about the original Bugout, maybe not the new CF Elite one, but the original one, that it felt a bit flimsy. In the smaller size, this feels better for sure than the original Bugout. It's just, physics. It's smaller, so it's like you build a long bridge, it's going to flex more than a short bridge, and unless you do a lot to it. So it just makes sense that a smaller one is going to feel a bit more solid, but it still doesn't feel as solid as the Spyderco. Not even close. This feels like a lot more just solid knife in your hand. That said, and I normally, Tai Chung Spyderco, you're going to say, oh yeah, of course the Tai Chung Spyderco is better than the Benchmade, but this one has so many sharp edges. And my previous Chaparral that I showed you earlier also had that to an extent, but they haven't gotten better. It feels like they've gotten worse. This is a very recent production Chaparral lightweight. And yeah, the opening hole, you've got sharp edges. On the lock bar, you've got sharp edges. Even on the FRN, a little bit, not too bad, but just a little bit, the sharp edges. So I couldn't even give a win to the Chaparral lightweight, which kind of surprised me. So I'm going to call it a tie, because this feels more solid. Feels like it's probably a bit more solidly built, but this feels a bit more just quality than what you're getting on the Chaparral lightweight. So that, I just got to call a tie. Sorry for the cop out. I always cop out on one category usually. Blade, not a cop out. Giving it to the Chaparral. XHP, awesome steel. S30V, and not a bad steel. But again, you have a choice between the coated or non-coated and a weird color. So it's like, yeah, whatever, but we're going to throw that out. We're going to forget this blade is coated. We're going to pretend they're both satin, because I prefer the satin. Slightly thinner blade stock, about the exact same thickness behind the edge. This is just a really, really excellent slicer, and I love XHP. I think it is a great steel, great edge retention, not super hard to sharpen. In my experience, definitely usually holds an edge better than S30V, depending on the companies. And between these two, in my fairly short anecdotal testing, this does seem to hold an edge a little bit better. And it's, like I said, it's just that hair bit thinner of a blade. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, but for heavier use, well, knives like this, are you really going to be using 2 ounce and under little sub 3-inch blade knives for heavy use? Probably not. So for the kind of task that I think you're going to be doing with these, yeah, I think the only real advantage you have with the mini Bugout is that you don't have that forward finger control. So you do get a bit more cutting edge, but I never found that to be an issue. For the kind of tasks I use these knives for, I don't find that to be a problem. So blade wise, I have to prefer the Spyderco. In ergonomics, yeah, this is another one for the Spyderco. The Bugout's not bad. Nothing bad about the mini Bugout. I have large size gloves, skinny fingers, so you can see I can get all 4 fingers on it. Not much of a problem at all. Good place for your finger to land, all that stuff. You can feel a little bit of a hot spot from the pocket clip, but not too bad, especially if you just kind of adjust it a little bit when you first grab it. It's not bad at all. Ergonomics in this are not bad. They're not bad at all. But for a knife this size, this is a Sal Glesser design. He knows his ergos. It works great. I love being able to choke up on it. I love where the jimping is placed. I feel no hot spot at all from this wire clip, even though it's longer. I like the bidirectional, really holds you in there. For ergonomics, I have to say the Chaparral Lightweight is just a pleasure to use. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, really. There's no glaring errors, but this is just really, really good. I really do enjoy it. Even though the handle's a bit thinner, it's a bit taller, just kind of fits better. As far as the carry goes, let's close these suckers up and bring out Yale Wranglers Mark II. We have both obviously carry pretty good. They're both very lightweight. Both have nice, pretty deep carry clips. The Chaparral sticks out a little bit more. It's a little bit taller. I do like that a lot of Spydercos do this, and I don't know why other companies, including the Bugout I'm about to show you, which spoiler, is going to win this category, but still, it would be even better if they did this. You can see it slid in the pocket very easily. It slides out very easily. And part of that is because they put their logo on with it's not raised much at all, and they make sure the logo is where the pocket clip lands. And that is such a smart thing to do if you have textured, especially these Grivery or FRN or whatever word you want to use for your fancy plastic. They can be really grippy, can be pocket destroyers. Why doesn't everybody just put your logo under there? Then you've got it on both sides if it's right hand, left hand, and it looks good, it works good, makes it slide in and out easier. Great job, and the Chaparral Lightweight carries fantastic, don't get me wrong. And I carry my regular Chaparral a whole lot, and I've never had complaints about it being hard to get my hand in and out of my pocket when it's in there or anything like that. But the mini Bugout is just better. It's not as tall, sits even deeper in the pocket. Some people really hate that wire clip. I love the wire clips, but there is a small vocal contingent that hates those. I mean, this, even with the white scales, you don't see a whole lot of knife sticking out. The orange is going to stick out just a bit more, but it's a little narrower, a little lighter. I mean, yeah, it's a whole half-ounce lighter. It's what, 66% the weight of what the Chaparral Lightweight is. But when they get this light, does that matter anymore? I'm not sure that really does. So I'm not giving it to it just because of the weight. It's just a little easier to get your hand past and a little bit less sticking out. And I just think it carries a little bit better. Despite the fact that it would carry even more better. It's a word I'm going to say now. If they put just put a little butterfly there, that'd be cool, because it is right. Both these are right hand, left hand, completely ambidextrous knives. The Benchmade a bit more so, which I guess carries us into our next category, the deployment. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be a big surprise. This is the most obvious win for the Benchmade. I mean, it's an axis lock. It's fun. It does all the axis locks things. You know, you can. It's very drop shutty and very cool when you're not on camera and trying to show people how drop shutty it is. It's very cool. You got a thumb stud deployment. You have multiple deployment methods. It's just really, really, really fun to play with, and it is extremely ambidextrous. I will say, in the full size Bugout, my son is a big fan of buck backlocks. I don't know how I raised him that way. That's just the way it came out, and he loves his buck backlocks. And I've been trying to get him to something more modern. And the one that finally got him, he's left-handed. And the one that finally got him is he has my old full-size Bugout, because it's light and he likes the completely ambidextrousness of it. And that's the one that finally got him to give up his Buck 110. Was that he still carries it sometimes, but for his usual everyday kind of thing. Now it's a Bugout. And on the Chaparral Lightweight, it's just a backlock. I mean, it's fine. It works good. It's probably a slightly more secure locking system than the axis lock is, but it's not any fun. It's just not any fun. And I like my knives to have a bit of fun to them. Deployment, I gotta go. This is completely ambidextrous as well. Obviously, backlocks are completely ambidextrous. I can hear you guys already saying that. It definitely is. But and also the sharpness. It's knocked some points off for the sharpness, because it's not. Not only is it not a fun lock system, because it has these sharp edges, it's not very fun to deploy either. Yes, I could just take a ceramic rod, knock all these edges down in probably 15 minutes and make it slightly better, but it's still just never going to be as much fun as the mini Bugout is. Value. We're going to pretend this is the orange one, okay? Because at 136 to 95.90, oh yeah, the Chaparral all day long, every day, twice on Sunday. The $119 version of this is still the Chaparral, but just not by the gaping chasm that it that it would have been if I'm comparing this one to this one. At 119, it's not the Grand Canyon. It's like a smaller canyon. I don't know a lot about canyons. Snake River Canyon, is that smaller or wider? I don't know. It's a slightly less wide chasm, but it's still kind of a chasm. XHP steel, like I said, I like it better than S30V. I would pay extra for that. The Tai Chung, like I said, in the quality, I gave him a tie, but still this just does feel like more of a solid knife that I'm going to have for longer than the Mini Bugout does. Value, I think, has to go to the Chaparral Lightweight. So where does this leave us? This leaves us on 4-2 with one tie, with a pretty solid win for the Chaparral Lightweight. Honestly, when I asked to get one of these in, I kind of thought the Chaparral Lightweight would win, but I didn't think it would be by that much. And again, it was the color choice. If this was a normal color, it would be pretty close. It would have been it would have been 3-3 with one tie, and the value being the tiebreaker. So the Chaparral still would have won, but it would have won by this much instead of by that much. And I know it's just color choices; those are subjective, but these particular color choices I don't think can be ignored. And again, it wouldn't have changed the overall outcome. Chaparral Lightweight still would have won. And I don't only just recommend the Chaparral Lightweight as a really good lightweight knife. I recommend it over like the Delica 4. I think as far as lightweight knives go that Spyderco makes, this is one of the best. I think it's better than I really do think it's better than the Delica 4. I would probably even prefer, if I had to own one or the other, this over a Para 3 lightweight. It's just I just love that really thin slicey blade. I like the XHP. I like the solid feel of it. So I feel pretty good about this one. And I hope you guys too. I've been Brian. Have a good one.